Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today, and I hope that your summer's been fantastic. I'm excited to be here today for the next chapter of our CRM for oil and gas user group webinars, where today we're going to focus on ramping up your knowledge and taking advantage of personal views and dynamics. For those that don't know me, I'm Chad Collette. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Ledgeview Partners. I'm sure many of you know me from previous webinars and all the information that I send via email, which hopefully you're not only receiving, but you also find valuable. Now, before we get into the core of today's webinar, I have just a couple of the standard housekeeping items that I need to cover. First of all, today's webinar is being recorded and it will be available on demand after the live session. All attendees will receive a follow-up email after the webinar is complete with a link to access the video and the full details. Now, if you've not already, add @ledgeviewpartners.com to your safe senders list to ensure that you get all of our emails. Or if you happen to find our mail in the clutter, junk, or spam, please mark us as a safe sender. Now, we encourage you to share any of our resources within your company and also refer us to other lubricant marketers you may know. Our goal is to grow user adoption within the CRM and oil and gas solution and really help marketers achieve the greatest return on investment possible. Now, to ensure the best audio quality, we have everyone on listen-only mode. But if you have a question or a comment, please submit those in the question pane of your GoToWebinar control panel. We'll follow up with you after the webinar, as we do have a full agenda today and we want to be respectful of everyone's time. Now that those details are out of the way, I want to welcome today's presenter and a man that really needs no introduction, Steve Raybrock from Ledgeview Partners. I think a large portion of our audience really knows Steve from being on site with you as you came on board with CRM. I know he's ready to share some great insights into CRM for the oil and gas solution. So, Steve, thanks for joining us today.
All right. Thank you, Chad. We have lots to cover today, so we will get right into it. So I threw together an agenda. It's very similar to what we do every couple months when we do these user group webinars. Our main topic is how to create personal views. So I'm going to spend most of the time on that. I'll spend a few minutes talking about it, and then I'm going to jump right into CRM, and we're going to go through a lot of stuff. Then when we're done with that, we're going to kind of just finish this up with reminding everybody about our roadmap, the enhancements that are headed your way. I'll address any questions that were submitted, biggest challenges that you all answered when you registered for the event. We'll talk a little bit about a feature that we have for training new users, other resources that are available to you. We'll talk about the referral program, and then we will wrap things up. So that is our agenda. Again, the main agenda, personal views. So let's get started. So I just kind of use this slide to kind of direct me. I don't want to jump right into showing you how to create a view using the advanced find feature. I want to kind of set the stage so you understand why you might want to do this. And so you kind of understand it kind of from the beginning. So I'm going to start out just by making sure we're clear on what a view is, what you can do with the existing views that are in CRM, and then how you can filter within a view and what you can do with the views that already exist. And then when that doesn't cut it for you, then that takes us to the next level about, all right, I want to make my own view. And then once you create a view, you might want to share that view with others, because if you make a view, that's only yours. You're the only one who can see it unless you share it. And then just a reminder, there is a video and a document, Video 300 and Document 300, which are in the workplace area. So if you go into workplace, videos, get the little playlist of all our videos, you'll find Video 300 is kind of a refresher on this advanced find feature. But as Chad said, you're going to get a copy of this webinar. So you'll have this to refer back to, but always within CRM, you'll have this Video 300 available to you. All right, so now I'm going to flip over to CRM, and we're kind of going to start from the beginning. And we're just going to make sure everybody's clear on just what a view is. So I decided this morning when I was kind of preparing for this to just use opportunities. It seemed like that would be a good one to kind of use as an example. So I went into sales and went into opportunities. And the view that I'm looking at right now is a view called My Open Opportunities. So that's a system view. That's a view that everybody has when they have CRM. They're just going to get that view. And that view basically is a list of all of the open opportunities for the user who's logged into CRM. So basically, these are just mine, right? So I don't have to worry about all the clutter of everybody else's stuff. And then these are the columns that I get to see on this view. That's just how this one was created. This is how it looks. And then it looks like this is sorted by what we call topic. So that's the order of this view. And this is a pretty small view. I probably know the opportunities that I'm working, so this is probably fine for me. But I'm just going to reach out and show you like another view. So if you click the little arrow next to the view that you're on, you get a list of all of the different views that are in CRM over the opportunity file, which there are tons. We had to create a lot of these views because of a lot of the dashboards that we've created for you. So another popular view, maybe for a manager, would be instead of looking at my open opportunities, a manager might want to look at open opportunities, which is really all of the open opportunities across the organization. Again, this is a view that everybody has. It's what we call a system view. And these are the columns. This is what it looks like. There's probably an extra column on this view that wasn't on the other view. And so there's a column for owner, right? Who is the owner of each of these opportunities? If I was looking at my open opportunities, that would be kind of a waste of a column because it would just list my name over and over again. So why would we need that column? All right. So those are views. What are some things that you can do with views? Well, let's just say that I'm the manager of our lubricants department, right? So I see on here, there's this clean bird department opportunities on here. There's all these other opportunities on here that, I don't care about them. So one of the things I can do is I can go way over here on the right and I can turn on filtering. And if I do that, it's kind of like Excel where you can then create your own little rules. So I'm going to go on department here. There's this little ticky mark next to every column heading now. And I could say something like, I want to make a rule over the department. So I clicked on that little arrow and I can filter on a specific department. And it's going to give me a list of all of our departments. And if I'm in charge of lubricants, if I double click here, it drags that option, lubricants, down here. And when I hit add, it's basically just going to add that rule. So instead of looking at 59 opportunities across the organization, I'm now only looking at the 39 opportunities for the department I'm in charge of, the lubricants department. Another example I could have given is if I was a manager in charge of 3 people, right? 3 salespeople. I could have gone over here and made a filter to only list like these 3 owners. And then I would see those 3 people's opportunities. So I can do a fair amount of stuff just within, the views that exist today. But now if you're that manager or you're that power user or you're that person who does this daily, well, I don't want to have to go into CRM and go to open opportunities and turn on filtering and pick the department lubricants. Wouldn't it be nice if I could just go in and have a view that only looked at, let's say, the lubricant opportunities? That could be an example. And then maybe I don't like these columns. Maybe, as an organization, we don't really care about estimated revenue. And this topic field doesn't tell me too much. I just want to see the potential customer, and I really don't even need to see the department because I know it's lubricants. And then maybe as I scroll over, the owner to me is really important, and maybe the sales stage is important. So, I wish those numbers, those columns were more on the left-hand side. So now you're starting to get the creative juices flowing on I want to make my own view. So now we're going to take it to that next level. And now we're actually going to create a view. So this is the good stuff. So once you've determined, hey, what I have is great, but I want to be more efficient. I want to either create a view for myself, or if you're that power user for the organization, you might get requests from folks And now you'll know how to do this for them, right? You can create views for other people just to make them more efficient. So there's a couple of different ways to do it. I try to just teach folks kind of the same way. So this is kind of the way I'm wired. But up in the main black navigation bar, I call it, there's this filter button up here, which is actually the advanced find button. So if you hit that, it's actually warning me that I'm about to leave this screen here, and I've got all kinds of different filters on this view that I'm going to lose if I bounce around, which is totally fine. I don't really need them anymore. So I'm going to go to what we call advanced find. And it may seem a bit overwhelming at first, but once you kind of get the hang of it, you'll be cranking out views and doing this just it's pretty simple, but you've got to invest a little bit of time to just kind of get used to it. So let's talk about what's all on this screen. Again, that's all I did was hit this advanced find button up here, and I've got a screen with some information on it already. So what is this all telling me? So we're going to talk about what's in this ribbon a little bit later, but we're going to focus on right here where it says look for opportunities. So it automatically filled that in, what file I want to look at, because I was looking at opportunities when I hit that advanced find button up here. If for some reason I was looking at opportunities, but now I want to make a view over some other file, I can just hit this little arrow, and it's going to give me a list of all of the files that are in CRM. You probably only care about 5 or 10 of these, right? Opportunities is probably a big one. Maybe you want to do one against leads. Maybe you want to do something crazy with accounts. You could make a view over accounts. But for today's exercise, we're just going to leave that opportunities. Then the other thing that it does for you to kind of save you some time is the view that I was currently looking at was called open opportunities. So it's telling me, look, I'm going to start this whole little process of making my own view. I'm going to start with a saved view called open opportunities. So it has all the rules and all the columns from that view. So it saves me from starting from scratch. I can always go over here and hit this little drop down, and I can tell it I want to just start from scratch. I can start with new, or I could pick any other view over opportunities to start with. But I'm just going to start with that one. That seems good enough to me. So just so you know, these are actually the two rules, the filters, to determine which records we would show a user when they're looking at the open opportunities view. Basically, it's a simple rule. It says where the status of the opportunity equals open, so it's an open opportunity, and fallback is not equal to yes. So if you code any opportunities as fallback, that's not considered an open opportunity. So we're excluding them. So those are the two filters. So for our example, we want to create a new view that only looks at open lubricant opportunities. So I need to make another rule right here on this advanced find filter screen. So to do that, you'll see I've got a rule over status, I've got a rule over fallback, and I've got one more option just below that called select. If I hover over that, it gives me this little drop down of all of the other fields that are on the opportunity screen. And as you know, one of those fields is department. So when I pick that, now I'm just kind of creating my rule. So I want to have a rule where the department equals, and then I've got to go over here, and now I just want to pick which departments I care about. And I can even pick more than one if I want, but I'm just going to find lubricants, and I'm just going to double click over here in the blue shaded area, and then it pulls lubricants down here, and when I hit add, it just adds it here. So you see I'm kind of building my rules, my filter. If for some reason you did not want a filter, so let's say this fallback, you didn't like this rule at all. You don't want a filter on fallback. You can just hover over this little arrow next to it, and you can delete that filter. and then it would remove that from the list. Now that's probably a bad example because you probably don't want to see those fallback opportunities on your list in this view. Okay, so we're actually pretty good with what our rules are, but you can kind of get this now that you can get real creative, right? This is how you determine what records you want to be in the view. So it's it's basically the filter. So remember we talked earlier, if you wanted to create a view of opportunities where the owner equals Steve, Kevin, and Mary, right? You would just select and you would make a filter on owner. And you would say where the owner equals, and then you would just make a list here of all the owners that you wanted included. But we don't really want that rule, so here's where I'm going to use that delete routine. And yep, I don't want that rule. All right. At any point in time while you're doing all of this, you can check how this thing is going to look when you're all done. So there's this results button. So if you click this, what it's going to do is it's going to apply all these rules and show you what this view might look like or would look like. So I'm going to hit results, and it's going to open up like a new tab in my advanced find, which is important to know these tabs up here. And hey, guess what? These are our 39 lubricant opportunities. So perfect. This is looking pretty good. These are the records that I wanted. So I feel pretty good about my filter, but I really want to massage these columns a lot. So now I need to remember, this is kind of a tricky part. I need to go back to the advanced find tab. People always sometimes will call me up and go, geez, I did all this and now I'm stuck. It's like, oh, I forgot about these tabs up here. So if you go back to the advanced find tab, we're kind of where we started. All right. So one of the nice buttons up here is this edit edit columns button. I'm going to take a drink of water here. All right. So what is this screen for? So these are all of the columns that are on the view, and I can scroll over and see them all. And I guess I'd also point out that it's real important to understand that this is a view. This is not a report. Sometimes people will call up with a problem with a report, and they're actually talking about a view. And it seems like a silly thing to point out, but a report is really completely different than a view. We'd be looking for a different issue if it was a problem with a view versus a report. So these are views we're talking about. So I think we decided that this department, we really didn't need a column for that. So if I just click that heading, it puts a green box around it, and then I can utilize some of the functionality over here. And one of the options is remove. So if I hit remove, do I really want to remove this column? Yes, I do. So now that column's gone. I think we also said that we really don't need topic. So I'm going to remove that one. And then I also believe that, the boss told me that what was important to him is who owns the opportunity and then what sales stage it's in. So if I hover over owner and click that, I can use these arrows to move this column one way or the other. So I'm just going to kind of just keep clicking this as it moves to the left. And now owner is the very first column. And what was the other thing that was important? I think we decided sales stage was kind of important. So I'm going to hover over sales stage, click it, and just move over a little bit. Oh, I went over one too far. I'm going to go back now. So now I've got owner, sales stage, potential customer. Hey, just for the fun of it, I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to hit results again. Because I'm just curious, what did I all just do? Right, so I'm just kind of playing around. Okay, look, I've got rid of department. Okay, here's the owner. Here's the sales stage. Man, I'm only looking at my lubricant, 39 opportunities. Man, this is pretty slick. Well, then what might dawn on you if you look at the data going, well, this isn't in much of an order. Guess what? If I go back to the advanced find button and I go to edit columns, there's an option here to configure the sorting. And I think it would make sense to sort this by owner, and then within that, sales stage. So I'm going to go to configure sorting, and I'm going to say I want this sorted by owner first, and then I want it ordered by sales stage second. And both of those would be ascending. So I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to check my results. So now it's sorted by person alphabetically, and then within a person, let's say Michael here, it's showing all of Michael's opportunities in sales stage 1, 2, and then looks like 4. So now this is getting pretty powerful, right? We can make persons so efficient because we can give them the data that they need. So there's one other thing that I really didn't point out yet, and that is the ability to change the column width. So you might not spend a ton of time on this, but if maybe product segment just you got so much real estate wasted here, maybe we can shorten that one up. Maybe your customer names are a lot longer. You might want to make this one bigger. So again, guess what? We go back to the Advanced Find tab. I go back to Edit Column, and I'll just show you this on one. I'll just use this on product segment. So if I click on this, then I can go to change the properties of this column. And that's all this is going to show me basically is in pixels. So if I don't need 150 pixels, I can kind of cut that by about 50%. I'm just going to drop it down to 100 and hit OK. And now that column just got a little bit shorter. Because it's nice if somebody doesn't have to scroll very much across to get all the information. Okay, so we talked about rearranging the columns. We've talked about removing columns. We talked about sorting. Boy, what if I deleted that department column and I shouldn't have done that? What if I need that back? Well, there's another button here to add a column. And if I click add a column, it's basically going to give me a list of all of the columns, and I could pick department and hit OK. And it's going to throw it in me kind of wherever I was working last. Most times it ends up sticking it on the very end, but it just stuck it right next to product segment because that's where I was. But I really don't need that, so I am going to end up removing that because I really don't need it. But I just wanted to show you how to add columns. So we can add, remove, do all kinds of stuff. All right. So this is pretty good stuff. So I'm going to check my results one more time. And I'm feeling pretty good about this view. This is like exactly what I need, or exactly what a coworker needs. So I'm just going to go back to this Advanced Find tab, and now's the important part, the Save button. In this case, I have never saved this yet, so I can't really resave it. I need to save as. And this is probably not the hardest thing, but the most important thing I think is you have to be real careful how you name your views. You want the name of the view to kind of give the person who's using it some idea of what they're going to be looking at. So to me, this is a pretty easy one. I would call this, open lubricant opportunities. And I would just hit save. And now if I close out of this, it might take a moment or two for CRM to refresh all this. But if I go look at my views now, and I click the list, if I scroll down to the bottom, hopefully it's there. I'll have to do a refresh. Look, there's now a view that was not there a minute ago called Open Lubricant Opportunities. So if I click that view, this is that view I just created. Now for me to use anytime. And if this is the one I want to use all the time, I can even pin this one. So anytime I go into CRM and I go into opportunities, it's going to start out with this view. So that is how you create a view in CRM. So you start out with this Advanced Find button. You go through, picking the file, picking the filters, picking the columns, doing all your adjusting, and then you just save it. All right. So what if you realize that you're missing a column, or you need to make a change to this? This is probably the hardest thing for me to remember. But if I go to this Advanced Find button again, It took me a while to find this, by the way, because I've made views early on in my career, and I'm like, okay, now I want to change it. I'm thinking I could just change it here, but what if this isn't the view you wanted to change? It's always best to just look under your saved views. And it's going to look at all the views that I've created under opportunities in this case. So here's my open lubricants opportunities. I could just open this up. And so I want to add a column. So remember how to do that. I've got to go to Edit Columns. And I'm going to add a column. And I'm going to show you something that is even more advanced, which is really kind of exciting, but you really got to have your head on straight about the data. One of the things that I've learned about this feature is it's probably harder to understand your data than to use this advanced find feature, right? Because you need to know what accounts are and opportunities and what fields are in each of those files. So one of the other things that you'll learn is a lot of these files are connected. Like in the case of an opportunity is tied to an account. Now, account has industry on it. In most cases, you assign an account to an industry. So what if I cared about seeing the industry that those opportunities were for? Well, industry is not in the opportunity file, but if I go to add columns, these are all of the fields on the opportunity record. I could pick any of these columns, but I could also go up here and where it's asking me for record type, I could go and I could pick accounts. And it's going to know to take the account on the opportunity and tie to that record to get, in this case, I want to pull up industry. So here's industry. So I'm going to say okay to that. And it probably, like I told you earlier, it probably stuck it way on the end. I'm going to move that way over, right after, maybe right after the potential customer, or maybe even right before it. I'm going to hit OK. And now I'm going to look at those results. So now I've got the owner of the opportunity, the sales stage, the industry that we're targeting, right? What industry is this company in, right? So again, I don't know if that's a value. That's just an example where it can get more sophisticated. It can be more than one record, right? You can link to other records. So pretty powerful feature there. And today I'm not going to be able to cover every single feature, but as you play with this, not a lot of people do this, but these rules, as an example, these rules here, by default, all of these rules have to be true in order for a record to appear on your list. Well, if you had all kinds of crazy rules, you might come up with an or condition. Now, in this case, I can't think of an or condition, but if this doesn't make sense, but if you said, look, my rule is if the status equals open or fallback does not equal this, that's kind of hard to do here because these all have to be true. What you can do is you can say, I want to select this row and I want to select this row, and then I want to go up here and I want to group those as an or condition. So then I'm not going to do that, but then this or this would be true, and this last rule would have to be true for the record to show up. So again, most people are just like, look, I want this, this, and this, and it's pretty straightforward. But a few of you out there, I'm sure, are going to come up with some really crazy rules you're going to want to apply to your data so you get just the data you want, right? So, okay. So the last thing that I wanted to show you, so we talked about views, we talked about creating them, saving them, and in this case, now that I have this, if I made any changes, I don't have to do save as, I can just hit save, because it'll just resave if I made any changes. But the last thing that's kind of important is what I mentioned earlier is if I created a view and I wanted to share it with, let's say, a manager, in my case, I'm the power user, let's say, and the lubricant manager asked for this. So Kevin happens to be the lubricant manager. What I want to do is go back to my list of saved views, and if I select one, so I'm going to select this open lubricants opportunity view. What happens is I get some more options up here that get highlighted once I select an opportunity, and one of them is called share. So what that's going to do is let me share my view with someone else. So I'm going to hit share, and then it's going to let me add a user to share this with. So it's just a list of users here. I just click that. So I'm just going to search for Kevin. So I'm just going to hover over here and double click in the shaded blue area. And then it pulls Kevin's name down here. I could have also highlighted it and hit select, but I just like to just double click. So now if I hit add, what it does is it pulls up a little security type screen, if you will. So it's basically saying, right now I'm going to let Kevin use my view, but I'm not going to let Kevin pull up this view in this advanced find mode and change the columns or God forbid, delete it. I'm not going to give him that capability. But if I trusted Kevin and now I don't care what Kevin does with this, I'm done. I could actually let him update the view if he wanted to get rid of the view, I don't care. But if Kevin really isn't a power user, why even let him accidentally, mess something up? So what I see most folks doing is they'll just share it and then just leave these defaults here where I only want Kevin to be able to use the view. He can still maintain the records on the list. This is just about maintaining the actual view itself, meaning, like I said, adding columns, changing columns, whatever. So as soon as I hit share, it's going to go out and look, found Kevin. And now if Kevin goes into CRM, I'm going to leave this page. When Kevin goes into CRM and he hits this little drop down here for views, Kevin is now the only other person in the organization who's going to have open lubricant opportunities as a view. Okay. So I covered pretty much everything on my list. Hopefully this gives all of you listening a good foundation for creating views. I would say if you do views every couple months, it's still not too hard. You're going to struggle a little bit, right, each time because you just don't do it often enough. If you do it every couple weeks, it just kind of becomes habit, but you'll forget about this section or that section, and then you can always either rewatch this video or you could watch video 300 right within your CRM. And just to make sure we're all clear on where that is, if I go into the workplace area for videos, there's these three little lines here that show it's just a playlist. So these are all our videos, and they're in numerical order. So I just scroll down to, what did I say, 300? And 300, Advanced Find and Personal View. So a 19-minute video covering quite a bit of what I covered today. But maybe it's a little bit easier just to use the video right in CRM. Okay, I'm just going to check my list. Adding columns, removing columns, adding fields from another file, sharing a view. Yeah, you're all able now to do all of this. So I'm going to flip back to the PowerPoint if I can find it. So yeah, we covered all of this. So you should have enough power now to go for it and hopefully make folks a little bit more efficient with easily getting the information that they need. All right. So kind of moving on, we'll just kind of wrap up with just a few slides here, just to let everybody know what's we're working on here, probably for the next 8 to 12 months or so. We're working on a KPI feature, which I think is going to be pretty cool. It's going to hopefully save some people some time, possibly help with user adoption, keep people focused on what they should be doing. You set goals, set things you want to hit, so you can measure them. That's what a KPI is. So an example might be, oh boy, we need to create at least 200 lubricant opportunities this fiscal year. So you set that KPI, and then every night the system kind of scrunches the data. It knows how far we are into the year. It knows your lubricant opportunities, and then it'll do some calculations and tell you if you're on pace or not. Basically, it's going to give you a number, and it's going to tell you if you're, red, yellow, or green. So you can set KPIs for number of leads, number of opportunities, gross profit increase, all kinds of good things. So I'm hoping that's going to be cool for not only managers but also even for individuals who just kind of set their own goals, their own KPIs to just help them. What gets measured gets done, right? So you set a couple measurements for yourself and you monitor them, and there you go. There's not going to be much work in that at all for anyone. It's like a one-time setup, and then every night the system scrunches the numbers, and you can look at the results anytime you want. Really excited about that. I think that's going to be a game changer for a lot of folks. Then we're going to kind of take a step back, and I've got a number of small changes, small requests, just little things that come in that you just love to get done, but you never get to because you're always working on the big ones. So I've got a collection of them we're going to kind of do in our late 2019 release. And then by early 2020, we're going to be working on giving you the ability to schedule reports. So this would be through Dashboard 97, how you can request a report. We're going to give you the ability to say, look, I want this report run, let's say the 5th of every month with these parameters. And so then you don't have to remember to do it, right? The 6th of every month, I guess you'd come into work and you'd have that report emailed to you. And so we're kind of excited about that as well. I think just to make folks a little bit more efficient. So that's our roadmap. Lots of exciting stuff coming. Questions. The good news is nobody submitted a question, which is fantastic. That means that your questions are being answered throughout your workday, which is great. If you do have questions, which most of you know this already, but either you reach out to the power user within your organization, or if you're allowed, you can reach out directly to our support team. And here's their number, here's their email address. Now, don't wait until you register for this user group webinar to tell us, something's broke or you have a question or you have a concern. I mean, we definitely want to keep you humming along. So let us know if there's something going on. That being said, the next section I want to talk about was biggest challenges. That's one of the required answers when you registered for today's webinar. And a number of those biggest challenges were actually what I would consider a support issue. Somebody had like a question on a report. Somebody said, the system was running a little bit slow. I'm trying to think of what a couple other ones were, but if you need us for any of that, just call our support team. If the system's slow, you could start potentially with your own IT. If you have an IT department, maybe there's something with your network connectivity that day, who knows, right? But we have tools to kind of check to try to pinpoint where a response time issue might be, or obviously if you're having a problem with a report, we'd be glad to help figure out what the issue is. I kind of summarized the biggest challenges. So the other one that I heard, which I was kind of excited to hear, is, a lot of people really didn't have a big challenge. They said they were fairly new to CRM and just wanted to learn more. So welcome aboard, all you newbies, and hopefully you learned a lot. This was more of an advanced topic, but not super difficult, but just a lot of people don't feel that they have the need to use this advanced find feature, but it is powerful. A number of you listed just real generically, just as your biggest challenge was just reports. And I've heard that many times. So in our December user group meeting, we addressed that. And then we kept that recording right in CRM, that recording. So I would recommend if anybody's like wondering what report to run or how to run reports, check out the videos, and specifically check out the video entitled 2018-December User Group Webinar Utilizing the Correct Report. Maybe that'll help. But if you're still having problems, call our support desk. If they can't help you, they'll get me or somebody else involved, and we'll address your problem or answer your question. All right. What we started about 6 months ago, and I haven't heard any response on this, so I'm kind of just hoping it's working. But when we get a request from a customer to set up a new user, basically we just get a new license, we set them up in CRM, and then we kind of flip a switch for them to turn this feature on for them. It's kind of on our end in our CRM. Basically, we turn on a feature that is going to send that user 6 emails. 3 next week, and then 3 the following week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And each email just describes a little feature in CRM and then references a couple videos they should watch, just to kind of get them up to speed with CRM. I'm sure, I hope, most of you already have some type of internal training that you're given. I've heard some of you don't, which is a bit of a challenge. So this might help. This might kind of get you started. All right, so that's that. There's also other resources for you. I would say within your CRM are probably the best resources, but also at ledgeviewpartners.com, there are lots of other things that you could tap into if you wanted to. I think one of the last things for me to cover is, for those of you who didn't know, we do have a referral program, right? The more customers on board, the better for us, the better for you, the better for our product, right? Because the more people kind of attacking, using the system, the more ideas I get, and then the better the product gets. So if you do send us a referral and they sign with us, you get a whopping $25 gift card, which is a nice gesture to say thank you. And your company also gets a $1,000 bonus on their account. So you get a little spending money and you look good. So please, if you know anybody who you think could benefit from using our CRM, let me know. All right, so yeah, I just reiterated the support team on here. Here's their email address and phone number. Here I am if you'd rather reach out to me. But that is all I have. I'm losing my voice with about 2 minutes to spare, so I'm going to turn it back over to Chad to wrap things up. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Steve, and a lot of great information. Hopefully everybody's a little bit smarter, a little bit more comfortable utilizing the CRM for oil and gas powered by Microsoft Dynamics 365 today. So thank you very much. We will be in contact regarding the next user group webinar. We like to do these every other month. And as you log off, you'll find a survey at the end of this. We hope that you'll take that, provide us feedback on what you learned today, and also offer us up suggestions on topics that you'd like to see in future user groups. We'd love to hear from you. So thank you very much. We appreciate it, and have the great rest of your week.